And this morning, we have a special treat. Jared Morningstar is here with us, and the theme is the practice, spirituality, and history of Ramadan. Now, Jared is familiar to many of you because he is the director of communications for the Center for Process Studies, and he has led seminars before. He's a philosopher and director of communications, as I've already said. He is an expert on many, many subjects, and today we're really lucky to have him with us. Jared is an independent scholar, and he's part of a lot of networks of scholarship and is familiar with a lot of the most recent movements that are emerging in philosophy, especially those that have some relationship with process philosophy. His academic interests are in philosophy of religion, Islamic studies, comparative religion, metamodern spirituality, and interfaith dialogue. His work in these areas seeks to offer robust response to issues of interreligious conflict, contemporary nihilism, and the meaning crisis, among other things. I'm reading from the screen that you have in front of you, but I'll add here that he graduated from Gustavus Adolphus College with degrees both in religion and Scandinavian studies. And he currently works for the center, as I've already mentioned. He is a fascinating young man, and we are so lucky that he's with us today. So take it away.
Thanks so much for the warm welcome, Mary Elizabeth. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, bismillahir rahmanir rahim. In the name of God, the all-compassionate, the all-merciful. The typical Islamic invocation before getting started on anything you want to have a sincere intention with. So let me pull up some slides here quickly. All right. It is Ramadan right now. It's happening right now. So I am both talking about Ramadan and doing Ramadan currently. Give me some leniency with my fasting brain and however that translates to what's coming out of my mouth here. Very grateful to be here. Excited to talk about Ramadan, introduce this practice, this central aspect of Islamic community and spirituality with you all. And I love my tradition, so I'm really excited to share this and open some avenues that maybe you wouldn't know about in this wide and sometimes impenetrable seeming tradition of Islam. So thank you again for having me. All right, what is Ramadan? It's just a month. This is the name of the month on the Islamic lunar calendar. So it's either 29 or 30 days determined by the phases of the moon that are happening right here, right now. And so we're about, I think, 17, 18 days into Ramadan currently. And convenient this year that it's lined up almost exactly with our Gregorian month of March. So that doesn't typically happen. Because a lunar calendar and a solar calendar are different beasts, Ramadan happens about 11 days earlier in the year, counted by our Western Gregorian calendar each year. We're a good way into it, the moon aspect is lovely and fascinating to me. This is one of the major aspects of Islamic practice. This is, in fact, one of the so-called 5 pillars of Islam, along with things like the testimony of faith, paying one's charity, the zakat, the daily prayers, and the Hajj pilgrimage. So it was one of the major things as a Muslim that people do. Happens once a year, since it's the lunar month. And basically, the practice is no food, no drink, not even water, no sexual relations, any time from the crack of dawn to sunset. So for me right now, that is about a little bit before 6 a.m. to a little bit after 7 p.m. each day. No food, no drink, and cigarettes either. So anything that you're kind of consuming would be a break of the fast. And in addition to this very basic kind of bodily practice here of restricting one's consumption of necessities, it's also a time to focus on spirituality, community, charity, self-purification, reorienting from the kind of worldly to the transcendent, and there's a lot of aspects of this practice, both with the physical fasting, but then how the community actually kind of incorporates different traditions around the fast that really make it something interesting. So. In addition to the sort of basic outline I just gave, people also try to avoid things like, saying foul language or cruel comments, backbiting, gossip, these types of things. If you do let a curse word slip, it does not break your fast. You're still good to go. But definitely a typical intention. And people, similar to some practices around Lent, people may decide to additionally fast from other worldly things as part of their kind of unique individual approach to Ramadan. Getting off social media for Ramadan is increasingly common nowadays. So things like that. But again, these are just kind of personal intentions. And if you open Instagram, you will not break your fast. Another very common aspect of practice and approach to Ramadan is spending a good bit of time reading the Quran. In fact, it's traditional to endeavor to read the whole Quran over the month of Ramadan. And in addition to the Quran being broken up by these different chapters or surahs, it is also broken up into little equal-sized chunks called juz. And so they divided it into 30 juz. And so if you read one juz a day during Ramadan, you can complete the whole Quran in the month. The length of the text, it's about equivalent to the New Testament. So it's a sizable text, but also something that if you really are reading it every day, one juz a day, it's really not that significant of a time commitment. Then there's also the special Taraweeh prayer. And this is a communal prayer that will happen at Islamic community centers, mosques. People could host in their own homes even. And it takes the form of typical Islamic liturgical prayer. If you've ever seen it, where there's the bowing, there's the prostration, there's the recitation of various Quranic formula, led by a designated imam. But the Taraweeh prayer recites one juz of the Quran in its duration. So it's a very long prayer comparatively to the typical Muslim prayers, which, depending on the speed, depending on which exact verses of the Quran might be recited, really doesn't take more than 5 to 15 minutes. This is an extended prayer, though, to recite really this whole 1/30th of the Quran in the prayer, in community, in this liturgical context, so different than kind of your own silent reading in your own vernacular language. Here you're also receiving the Quran, but in this communal practice setting in the original Arabic. And so, yeah, if you go to all of the Taraweeh prayers during Ramadan, you will also complete the Quran, although in a different form. All right, here's a little background, a little bit of history. So the practice of Ramadan was something that was revealed through Quranic verses in the Medinan period of the early Muslim community, the followers of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this was after the early Muslim community had fled from their original location in Mecca due to violent persecution and had instead set up their lives in this city of Medina. and we're able to, yeah, have a little bit more autonomy, be a little freer from threat of serious violence from the Meccan persecutors. And so a couple years into this period of hijra, of migration, the verses describing the Ramadan fast were revealed. And so and this practice began directly through this revelation. And another special thing about this month of Ramadan is it's traditionally thought that the very first Quranic revelations that came to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam happened during the month of Ramadan. So it's considered a particularly auspicious time, a particularly spiritually potent part of the calendar, though there are many spiritually potent moments in the Islamic liturgical calendar. But also beyond that, fasting practices were certainly common in the kind of broader Arabian context of the time. I think Jews and Christians, Arabian Jews and Christians, contemporary with the early Muslim community, had their own fasting practices. So while this is a kind of unique and individual approach to fasting that has come to become really a centerpiece of Islamic practice and spirituality, it did also have precedents, and I think there were even concerns or complaints from some of the early Muslim believers of, oh, is this going to make us look too much like Jews who were practicing very similar fasting practices at the time. And of course, they were rebuked for this, not only for the potential enmity behind that question, but also because, yes, the Ramadan practice does have kind of unique Islamic elements to it, as we've been going over. So, all right, yeah, just gonna share kind of some of the basic details of what Ramadan looks like. So. Here's two Arabic terms that are central to the day-to-day practice of Ramadan for Muslims, and that is suhoor and iftar. And these are both names for meals. Suhoor is the pre-dawn meal that typically Muslims will wake up early in the morning before first light to have a meal, because if you need to start fasting and your fast is about to go 13 hours, you probably want to get some food and water in your body pretty shortly before that begins. So definitely common. And iftar then is the other side of things. This is the fast breaking meal. This is very typically a communal meal, whether it be with a family or uh, a neighborhood or a mosque group, a community group. Very often people will make intentional plans to get together to have iftar together. And people will make a lot of food. There's just wonderful, wonderful dishes that are made for iftar. Both these photos are my own. So on the left here was this past Saturday at my own house, hosting an iftar potluck for my community, and you can see the table is loaded with food. In fact, there was nowhere to sit at the table. It was so full. So even though people are engaged in this very serious, very strenuous practice of literally having no intake of food or water for a whole month during daylight hours, even amidst that, these nightly iftar meals can be a real joyous, vibrant occasion, and really a place of yeah, really earnest community and connection. And yeah, there's really good food, especially especially if you live in somewhere with a kind of very multi-ethnic Muslim community, which is very common here in the US for sure. You just get a whole kind of global tour of different cuisines at these iftar potlucks, and I have enough food in my fridge now to feed a family of four for the next week, I think. People were incredibly generous with all the food that they left me, and so I've been generous in return and trying to pass these along to some of my friends, so nothing goes to waste. But yeah, definitely central parts of the Ramadan experience. These two meals, the fast breaking and the pre-dawn meal. Yeah, let's talk a little more about the moon. So we're on a lunar calendar here. If it's nighttime, I can look up and I can see the moon and I can go, all right, here's about how far into Ramadan we are. And there's something really lovely about that connection, that reconnection with natural rhythms, natural cycles, the kind of broader natural cosmos we live in. And that's one of the things I really love about the Islamic prayer practice as well. I mean, this is something likewise determined by some of the celestial rhythms. So when exactly the Zuhr prayer happens, well, it depends on where the sun is in the sky. And so it doesn't happen at exactly noon or exactly 1 p.m. It's determined by this much more kind of natural solar position. And the result of that is, as the Earth rotates, the kind of prayer processes along the globe as the positions change and as it comes time in a particular geographical area for Muslims to begin engaging their prayer practices, so they do. And so you have this rhythm, this sweeping of the prayer practice across the globe as things rotate. And that gives an incredible sense of global community, global solidarity with other practicing Muslims, but a solidarity that is not founded on the human. It's coming from these kind of deep collective experiences of the natural rhythms of the cosmos that we have. And likewise with Ramadan here. This is something that I'm doing here in my little Wisconsin apartment. And likewise, there's a mother in Egypt fasting right now. And there is a service worker in Nigeria. A young child in Indonesia is trying out the fasting practice for the first time. Typically these all kind of Islamic religious obligations, practices are kind of not required until a pubescent age has been reached. But so often with how vibrant and just kind of joyous and rich the whole Ramadan experience is, very often children will kind of want to at least give it a try, at least start participating. Even if they are doing so quite imperfectly and in a scattered way. But the sincerity is heartening, certainly. So I feel connected with my global community, my local community, and the broader natural world. This is great. Yeah, as I mentioned, the Quran and the Taraweeh prayer are definitely central kind of aspects of the Ramadan practice as well. Here on the left-hand side, you can see the Quranic text in Arabic with different verses and such numbered. And on the right here, we have some Muslim women praying the Taraweeh prayer at I think that's Al-Aqsa Mosque in Palestine. And so, yeah, another kind of point of connection here to this kind of broad, venerable, spiritual, religious lineage out of which this practice sprang. People have been performing this prayer, reading this same text for 1400 years with pursuing these practices during Ramadan. So that connection with deep history and a community that is really united and stretching through history far beyond all those who are just here present with us today. Mm. All right, here's something else. We got the zakat. So this is the obligatory charity, which is also one of the five pillars of Islamic praxis, and it's very typical for people to pay their zakat during Ramadan as kind of a way to do gratitude and be generous and pay things forward during this month when that's a very typical focus. So zakat is, I think, 2.5% of a person's wealth that they are expected to donate, to give each year as a charity. It's pretty open-ended. There's all sorts of kind of different causes and individuals even that you can kind of pass this on to, but really the intent is community support and giving to the most needy. Another thing here, sometimes you might need to make up a fast day. Maybe you fell sick, so you couldn't fast. Maybe you were traveling, and during traveling, it's allowed to forego the fasting practice since this is physically strenuous activity. It's not required. You can decide to continue fasting while traveling, but you have a legitimate option to break the fast and forego the practice for days traveled. And so the expectation is, okay, you will make up these fast days at another time, or you can feed some hungry people. That's another way to do it. And so I think that's a really lovely way of yeah, giving an option for yeah being able to make up a missed fast. All right, at the end of Ramadan, we have the probably most central Islamic holiday, which is Eid al-Fitr, which is Eid just means holiday, festival, something along those lines, and al-Fitr is in reference to breaking of the fast. So this is the big holiday of hey, we can finally eat and drink coffee again, and so. Truly, I've never experienced deeper community connection and joy and just elation than I have at Eid al-Fitr. When you spend a whole month not eating and drinking, it's a real challenge. It's a real struggle. You're really putting your being under some significant physiological stress. I'm a night owl, waking up at 5 a.m., 4 a.m. every morning to eat a meal. That's intense for me. And there's no break. It is a month straight. And so to go through that all together and feel that there was something spiritually meaningful and rich and beautiful to it, and then being able to come together at the end of that, I don't know, it's an outpouring of just genuine emotion that is not like anything else I've experienced in this world. Photo on the left here is me and my local community putting together Eid gifts. So like how Christians give gifts on Christmas, likewise there are Eid gifts. This is very typically just money. So little kids will get a couple bucks, little older kids will get a little more substantial payment, and so it's exciting. And candy is very common as well. But yeah, we were organizing to put together these Eid gifts for children of Muslim refugee families here in Wisconsin, and so connecting with yeah the kind of charitable aspect and intent of this month as well. On the right is a photo from a couple years ago I took at a Sufi community in Michigan, where I celebrated Eid. And these were some lovely Muslim women who did some lovely songs in celebration. Really beautiful. So, and I have some videos.
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum.
So that was a little video my friend made on Eid last year, just showcasing everyone's different outfits and all these different cultural expressions, and very common to wear some of your kind of best clothes for Eid day. But you can really see kind of the multiracial, multi-ethnic community here, certainly in Madison, that comes together on this really joyous occasion. So. Next video is from that same Sufi community out in Michigan, where I was in Eid 2022, I think. And yeah, here's throwing some candy for the kids. Yeah, lovely. The kids also put on a Ramadan puppet show, so that was something unique. All right, yeah, kind of closing up here. I want to talk a little more about the spirituality, the real kind of what this does to you, perhaps, what it can do to you if you really invest, really take it seriously. So. I mean, one thing, you're really involved in a serious, intentional spiritual struggle, and it's happening both individually and communally, as I say. So, really, an opportunity to yeah, come face to face with your kind of desiring self, the hunger kind of aspect of our psyches, this clinging and always grasping for some comfort and some just little thing to yeah, grasp onto to feel secure. None of that for a month, at least during daylight hours, and it's a struggle. Yeah, I mean it is really intense. No water is hard. It's hard not to drink water for 13 hours. The thirst isn't as bad as you would expect, at least if you are being intentional and drinking a good bit of water during the hours that you can. But just not having that glass there, just to take a little sip, just for a little bit of comfort, just for feeling like you're yeah, treating your body to its kind of needs and giving a little bit of yeah, comfort and sustenance to yourself. Going without that for a month, yeah, it's you really need to kind of develop some capacities, some self-control and also just kind of realizing your yeah, this kind of part of yourself that is always seeking, always trying to grasp onto to something like that. And maybe you can live with less of that. And maybe that's a good thing. Flip side, also really an opportunity to cultivate gratitude. Man, when you eat that first date and that first drink of water at the sunset time, that is some of the best tasting stuff I've had in life. So it's traditional to break the fast with just a date and water. Not required. You can break a fast any which way, as long as it's like a halal meal. But this is what Muslim communities back to the Prophet have been doing for a long time. And so it's another way to kind of be connected to that long historical tradition, to emulate some of these pious predecessors. And man, the dates are really good. They figured something out with that. It's a great way to break a fast for sure. But yeah, just having all that more appreciation for, oh, like the food doesn't come to me by default. This is something I should maybe be deeply grateful for. Because it's hard just in day-to-day life when you're in your normal routine and you're, oh, it's lunchtime, go to my fridge, pick things out, and yeah, it's easy to lose sight of all the ways that being able to just do something as simple as that is a deep blessing that could have been otherwise. And in Ramadan, you get a intentional taste of what it's like to have it be otherwise. And in that same vein, there are people who do go without, and we get an opportunity here to have a taste of that experience as well. And so likewise, you now have this somewhat more firsthand perspective of this is what it's like to be able to go without food, to have to go without food, to have to not have these needs met. And I mean, thankfully, we can break our fasts and have some food, have some sustenance during the nighttime, but there's many people for whom that is not the case, and they do not have those opportunities, those blessings. And so we at least have a little bit more of a perspective on what that might be like. And so hopefully that can be a basis for greater empathy, greater generosity towards the downtrodden, towards those without means. Yeah, it's a great equalizer. The rich and those who have plenty are fasting and in this state of physiological depletion just as much as those who are kind of just scraping by and likewise pursuing the practice during Ramadan. So another way that it creates this, yeah, broader communal unity that breaks down, dissolves some of those traditional bounds between people, whether they be geographical, racial, economic. We're all doing the same thing. So, and for me, it's always been an opportunity to realize interdependence, and I mean that connects right back to the gratitude too. I mean, I am fed in my life because there are all these people and all these other beings and creatures which in their own kind of webs of relations produce systems and structures that allow food to exist in my life and be a consistent presence. And yeah, realizing and the fact that I need food, you know, I mean, it's easy day-to-day life to be on autopilot, eat and drink at set times or when you're hungry and thirsty, and not think about how, oh, I'm actually this physiological being that has these metabolic needs that are constantly needing to be fulfilled, and those always happen outside of myself. I mean, I'll do the act of spooning the food into my mouth, but there are beings and relations beyond me that are essential to even allow that possibility. Yet that is the very baseline requirement for me to exist. So it really helps push past some of this really atomized, self-sufficient kind of perspective that it's easy as Westerners for us to have inherited from some of our Enlightenment thinkers and just broader culture and such. So a helpful reminder, very embodied reminder to be sure. All right, that's what I got. Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to talking more, answering questions, and hearing some of your own stories or experiences of either Islamic practice, Ramadan, or practices in your own different traditions that maybe incorporate fasting or have similar impacts. So,
Thank you so much, Jared. That was a superb presentation. And I want